cancel the recording. Perfect. And we probably have some new guests in here and some reoccurring, so that's great to see.
Yep, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. This is great. I'm trying to go through the list. I'm trying to figure out Zoom as I'm doing this. So
okay.
I'm not trying to be looking somewhere else. I'm just trying
to I know. I'm always looking between here. I hear you.
Yeah.
So how has the last couple of weeks for you been in your business since I guess the last webinar?
You know what? We've sold a couple more houses, which was super nice. Well, I think in the last week, we've got 3 more under our belts, a couple of buyers that took a long time to find their forever home, which is good. The market has, here anyways, in the GTA, Northumberland, it has changed, as we said before. It's my responsibility too, as the manager of this brokerage, to really keep my eye on where the pricing is and people are pricing and what's now our new trend, and lots of terminations of listings and relisting at market value, which I think as somebody that's been in this business for such a long time, this excites me because this was really fun real estate, to get a listing and to actually be able to negotiate. You know what I mean? And show 10 houses and know that your buyers could actually get one of those 10 if they wanted.
Yes.
So I think as much for the new realtors who have been involved in real estate in the last 2.5 years, it's going to be an adjustment for them because all they've really known in their career is bidding wars and underpricing. But this is exciting times. And I'm saying to our agents here, the new ones, guys, when you see a listing that's 14 days old, that's normal. Normal to see 30 days and not think there's something wrong with this house. So
yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm noticing it in my area too. It's, where the listings were originally just, as soon as you're up, they were sold, and, above what I would ever consider a price range for my neighborhood. Now there's 2 listings that are just sitting. One just had a price reduction. So, things are shifting a bit. That's for sure.
Yeah. So it's really, really good. It's, instead of realtors panicking because they don't know how to deal with it, I think you just have to say, this is what real estate really was always like, with the exception of a couple of homes throughout my career went into bidding wars, but they were few and far between normally.
Yeah. It's usually that one house in the one area that everyone wants to get into, and they're waiting for those listings sometimes to pop up to put offers on. So it's very tricky. Now, I know that today we wanted to, so a lot of success when it comes to real estate, or why, or also not even success, but it's the big understanding of why we got into this industry in the first place. And I'm sure you've experienced it. I know I've witnessed it, where you can almost identify that individuals forget their why. They get so caught up on their potential earnings that they forget the initial reason why they got into the business in the first place. And a lot of times it wasn't just like money might have been a part of it, but that wasn't the main focal of why they got into the industry. There's a lot more to it. And so for you, Tara, when you got into the industry, or understanding and refocusing on your why, what are some tips and thoughts that you would want to share with everyone to kind of get them on that right track, and how that why has helped you get to where you're at today, and kind of tossing the money aside and focusing on why you actually got into this in the first place?
I think that as I've been teaching throughout my career, everybody gets into real estate for a different reason. That's the honest to goodness truth. You've got some people that are working great jobs, full-time jobs, and they just want an extra, few thousand per month because, I think the perception is real estate is quick and fast money. And, I can sell one house a month, and you know what, maybe I show a couple of houses. It's not a lot of hours, when in fact, it's the polar opposite of that. It is the polar opposite. So I got into real estate way back in 1991 when I became the first administrator of my entire career, because we had bought our second house, I think, second or third house by then. And our agent just said, wow, can you work for me? Because that was just kind of my gig. But I think as I grew in my career and I started selling more, and now it came down to me really working so many hours a week, 7 days a week, seeing all kinds of different deals come and go. And, like I say, real estate is like this. It is not smooth sailing. I don't care how good a realtor you are, how long you've been in this business. You've had really good highs and really bad lows. And when I'm coaching people on my end, my big thing is the why. Why are you still doing this? Why are you doing this now? Whatever that why is, you can never lose sight of it, because we are commission salespeople. Right? We only get paid if we sell. So having that why is something for me that I never lost sight of, ever. And it might sound a little weird, but y'all can ask me what my why is. I share it with everybody. I can tell you the good times I've had, down to when I had stage 4 cancer and I wasn't sure if I was going to live. And now sitting at Sunnybrook Hospital, having my final surgery on my lymph nodes, looking at my 2 boys and kind of going, how can I continue to support them sick? So that why carried me through every single thing I've been through as a realtor, because I needed to keep the why firm and stand right there, right? For me to come out of that surgery and go, all right, I can't drive for 30 days, but nobody's going to stop me from going on this listing appointment, and we're going to figure out how to do it. So that's where my why is. And that's what I can stress so much to people. Never lose sight of it, no matter what it is. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of, in hindsight, it's almost like that vision board, right? We, a lot of individuals out there will create, and a lot of coaching programs and a lot of training through brokerages will offer or encourage you to create those vision boards at you're aiming for those goals, right? So, and having them there, so you're constantly looking at them as a reminder. And it is also in indirectly, but directly connected to that why. Why are we doing this? Why am I working 12 hours, 13 hours a day, not seeing my family? Why am I doing this? Why did I choose this path? And I think a lot of us, we go through the different motions and emotions while we're doing any kind of job, depending on the scenario, the situation, of course, the market with real estate. The last little bit where realtors were getting getting hammered, exhausted, showing after showing after showing after showing, with nothing coming from it. It gets really frustrating. It's discouraging. And so definitely I can understand why having that why and always focusing on it would definitely be beneficial to keep you going.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I share that with everybody, I mean, it's no secret that my why, see, look at me cry now, like I'm a big baby. My why will always be my 2 sons, one is 30. We've got some exciting news to share soon, but I'm not allowed to yet. But, my other one is 26, who works for me and is now becoming a realtor. I never lose sight, even to this day, no matter how tired I am, no matter how difficult the client is. I always, in the back of my mind, go, Andrew Nostin, plain and simple. So I think when we talked about, for our previous webinars, about the mindset when it comes to converting our leads, this is everything, because mindset and your why are like this. They fit together. And I'll tell you, there was a lot of times it would have been easy for me to give up and go work at Tim Hortons or go work at, Loblaws. Listen, I'm all about working. I don't care where you work. I'm a worker. But I knew that I could continue to do this career and to continue to hang in there, because I had 2 very, very important reasons to. And that's what is involved with conversion. Is honestly your why and your mindset, right? And I think
absolutely.
People, as I can see you commenting a little bit, but it really is. I'd love to know what people's whys are, because sometimes I think when you speak it, whether you put it on a vision board or you share it, that is different. Everything.
Yes.
Tell me why you're doing this. If it's because you want to buy a Porsche soon, tell me. Yeah. And then let's talk about how we can get you there. And then let's see how agent locator pay-per-click leads can fit into that. You see how it all kind of meshes together? Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, also with that why, so you have that goal. So the why is also the driving factor for you to get up every day and do what you do. Now, when you first got into the industry, I imagine your boys were still present at that time, or were they born?
So my oldest was born in, oh, good Lord. Okay, this is a senior moment.
Hold on. I'll think of how old your oldest. 30. Yeah. So he would have, I'm like, he was in
1991. Yeah. So my very first administrator job was for a realtor here in Oshawa. And I was hired to call his expired listings. He was with Sutton Group at the time. I found out I was pregnant with my son during that job. Then I had him, and that's when we bought another property, and I started working now 5 days a week, evenings when my husband came home from school or from work. I would then take off and go to the office, and that's where I worked with our realtor. It was with Remax at that time. Yeah. Perfect.
And then so with your why did you choose to get into the industry? Because there's a lot of individuals that get into, they may not have that goal that they're working towards, that level of achievement, but usually there's a reason why we get into a profession in the first place. It doesn't, sometimes it just falls, or it's, the people around us, our parents were realtors or worked, whatever it is, their profession, we kind of follow, in some cases, our parents' footsteps. For you, was it still that same why, or was there another driving factor, just working with the brokerages and working with people that made you want to get in and do this for yourself? Was it, being able to provide for your kids, or was it just being able to, a combination of that and helping people, or were you seeing something missing? There's a lot of different.
I've always been, how can I say this? I've been working since I was 12 years old. I grew up, I was born in Durham, but I grew up in Collingwood, and everybody knew my dad then. My dad's passed now, but I didn't have a lot growing up. If I wanted to get something, I had to work. So, I babysat, I did this, that, and all the others. Yeah. I've always had kind of that entrepreneur spirit, where I'm a doer. You know what I mean? If we're going to talk about something, then I'm going to figure out a way to get it done. I might fail, but I'm still going to figure out a way to get it done. Yeah. Right. It might not be perfect, but I'll do it. And I think growing up, knowing that if I wanted to get new clothes and I wanted to do this, well, then I had to get the babysitting jobs in order to make enough money to do it. And I started very young, creating a routine with people that I would then start calling ahead of time. Listen, are you needing a babysitter this weekend? Because I'm free. And so before I knew it, at the age of 12 to 15, every single weekend I had babysitting jobs lined up. And that was solely just because my parents could not give me new clothes. So I knew how I wanted to dress, and I knew that I had to figure out how to get the money to do it. Fast forward, even though I was a mom, which was what I always wanted to be, I knew I still wanted to work. So I knew when I was approached by realtors who, especially the one who sold us our house, going, "You are so good with people. Can you come in and start calling my past clients for me and doing this?" That's how I got my foot in the door, and I was able to do it so that I could be a mom at home. And as soon as he walked in the door, I would step out and go to work. Then as I got successful as an administrator, before I knew it, as my kids got older, I started having realtors all over the GTA hear about me, and I had a waiting list of realtors that wanted me to be their administrator. So going forward, my husband at the time was seeing me work for all these realtors and going, well, you're making them all money, but what about you? So he really started putting the fire under my butt to get my license. And I refused to do it until I knew that the boys were okay and old enough for me to now be working 60 to 80 hours a week, 7 days a week. So that's what my motivation was. I'd already spent so much time, 14 years running realtors' offices, doing everything for them. And it just became down to the fact that now it was time for Tara.
Yeah. Well, which makes sense. Right?
It wasn't a passion for the industry. I'm not going to lie to you. I can't tell you guys that I was sitting back always dreaming of being a realtor. What I wanted was to run my own business. I just didn't know what that would be.
Yeah. And I find a lot of us, well, at least you didn't have to spend thousands of dollars taking all different university courses to figure out what it is, right? Yeah. Like a lot of the younger youth out there, they go and they're like, I have no idea what I want to do, but here I'm going to throw my money at all these things, and one of them might stick, right? Yeah. And I find you can only really learn your passion by doing it. Really, at the end of the day, once you start doing something and you find that drive. Because I myself, it was like I've been all different channels of real estate. It's all in the same sector, but it's all different positions within the industry. So now, Douglas, it looks like you have a question. I can definitely allow you to talk if you like. You will just have to unmute yourself. I can see you have your hand up. And do we have any questions in here?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look.
So Reddy is saying, hi guys, first time here, trying to overcome the calling fear. So what's your, and again, if there's a way to connect it to that why, but also what kind of suggestions would you have for Reddy to get over that fear?
Yeah, you know what? That's completely out of the box. I understand that fear completely. I'm not a massive caller. For some of you that have been on in the previous ones, I have found when it comes to conversion that people aren't reacting as much to phone calls as they used to. But I think first and foremost, when I do make calls, I make it with a thank you. I'm not calling to try to get these people in the car. I'm not calling with a plan, with a desperation to convert a lead. What I want to do to these leads, and Crystal, we've said this so many times, I call it, I'm just simply introducing my voice. I'm simply saying, hey, George, it's Tara calling from Begin to Search. I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the site and looking at listings. I really appreciate it. And that makes the call a little easier for me because I don't get lost in translation while I'm trying to find out if this lead's ready to buy a house. The bottom line, and please, all of you never forget, these leads sign up as pay-per-click leads because they want to look at listings. And that's what we're giving them. And don't ever forget, that's all they want. They just want to see houses. So on the back end, when I'm going to make a call, it's simply going to be, thank you, I appreciate you coming on. Once you tear down those walls, it's so much easier to have a further conversation down the road, or even during that specific phone call. Because a lot of people will open right up to you if you cut the objection first and foremost.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's and really it's these different aspects of a position that make us feel uncomfortable that really are only going to help you grow. And Tara, you obviously, prior to calling these leads, you were doing follow-ups for realtors as well. So you were forced to also, and you were doing it as a kid, prospecting for babysitting jobs. So the comfort level of talking, and those are probably warmer relationships, but that when you're working with the realtor, you didn't have any idea who those people were. They were his past clients, right? So yeah, it's terrifying.
It's not fun. Acknowledge the fact when you're going to make these calls that this isn't a fun thing to do. right?
Mhm.
You know, the people that say, oh, I really love it, I mean, I give kudos to, because I don't get it. Right?
Yeah.
But what I learned very early was, because my very first job with the one agent when I was pregnant with my son was I had to call all the expired listings.
Mhm.
Back then, you know, we would have a book that showed us when they expired, and we had a phone book, and that's what my job was. And I learned so quickly that when I called the landline to say, you know, hi, I'm Tara, I'm calling for so and so, I know your listing expired, that I had to word it in such a way that these people would want to talk to me.
Mhm.
So whether or not that's, you know, having a nice quirky thing which, you know, makes them smile or makes them giggle, or, you know, that's the success to
Mhm.
having a good phone conversation, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I was in a similar situation where I was thrown in to call people. Never called people in my life. Most nerve, you know, it's terrifying. But it takes practice makes perfect. Really, just you can only really get more comfortable and learn exactly what to say by doing it.
Yeah.
You know, today, okay, this doesn't really work, or it didn't come out, or you know, didn't really get what I was hoping the response might be. So let's try switching it up a little bit. Or I'm
Yeah.
finding every time I'm calling someone, they're really standoffish. So how do I readjust what I'm saying to drop those walls a bit, and let them know that I'm not here to push them into anything. I just want to have a conversation and thank them for taking a look at the listings I'm sending them. We do have a comment here from Viman. When you door knock for the first time to introduce yourself, when is a good idea to go see them again, although they are not ready to buy or sell? As per Tara last video, you suggested to do this bi-weekly or at least once a month, but what do you say to them over and over again? So every time you're popping by, it could be exactly that. I was just in the neighborhood. Again, I know we chatted a few weeks ago. I just wanted to say hi, right? It's casual. It's like running, I like to try to, you know, it's like running into an acquaintance in the grocery store, right? It's anytime you see someone, you say hi. If you're in the neighborhood, you might pop by and say hi. So again, you're not trying to sell them, you're just building a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, when I'm out, when I'm out door knocking and I have a good talk with somebody, I always make a mental note. Once I kind of get a little bit down further the road, I'll go, you know, 24 Main Street, and I'll send myself a text or put a note in my phone. Because what I do going forward is, once I get back to the office, then I'll look up Geo Warehouse, you know, you can find their names, and I'll send them a thank you card as well. Going back, lots of ideas to go back. You know, if you notice a recent sold, go back and knock on their door and let them know about it. Keep them familiar of the area. If you've talked to somebody, there's no reason why you can't put them on your newsletter mail out if you have one. It's a great way for people, when they get mail from you, to remember your name when they're ready to look. So I think first and foremost, when we talked about farming, you know, door knock, absolutely. The next time you go out, a couple of weeks later, maybe you're just going to flyer drop, is like I want to call it. You know, do you have to door knock every single time you go out? There's no written rule, but they need to have regular information with your name on it if you want to see a return of your investment. So I would do it bi-weekly. That's what I ask my team to do, and just keep it up. And it's not door knocking bi-weekly. It's door knocking and then a flyer drop. And then maybe a month later, you're going to door knock again. But when you've had communication with someone, send them a thank you card in the mail, follow it up with something a little bit extra, right? And now they're what I call a lead, right? That's a lead, whether you have their email or not. We don't need their email to keep in touch with them. We need their name and their address, right?
Absolutely.
Then we can get an email going forward down the road once we're communicating a little more. So I hope that helped you.
Perfect. Now, Priyanka, I see that you have your hands up, so I'm just going to put you the ability to talk if you have a question you would like to ask.
Yes. Hi, Tara. Hi, Crystal.
Hi.
So I have a couple of questions. So I'm going to start door knocking. I have done in the past pre-pandemic, and it's been hard. So I'm again going to start because of everything is started to open up, and so I have read a lot about door knocking. So, do you recommend farming the area or just knock door by door on the street to get the listings?
Okay, so, I'm a little old school. I don't know what they call it now, but if you're going to door knock on a street, I think that's farming. So, it's like anything else. If you're going to take the time to do it, then follow up and keep doing it, right? Very few people are going to use you, or the return of investment the first time you knock is really rare. But once you continue to brand yourself on that street, that you've taken the time to door knock, you're going to see more return going forward down the road. So, because this is new for you, don't start out with something really large. I recommend, have a couple of streets, maybe 100 houses, and just sort of get into the groove of it. What you're doing is branding yourself. So when you go to a neighborhood, have the mindset of, I'm just letting people know who I am. So when they're ready, it'll be my name as one of the names they're going to think of to call. Right. And I think if you go and take the pressure off yourself, you might see some return a little quicker as well. I think when we go door knocking and we're desperate for a listing, it can affect our return on the area. But when we just sort of take that off your shoulders and do it with a sense that I'm just branding myself, people got to know who I am. Right. And then I think you're going to see it a little bit easier.
And you choose the area, the transactional areas or the turnover where it is high, closer to your office, closer to your home. What various parameters can you suggest to choose an area to start?
Well, listen, I'm going to quote Brian Buffini right now. If any of you have ever looked into him, he's fantastic. Your biggest source of advertisement is always your for sale sign and your sold sign. So if you've had recent solds or you recently have a for sale sign up, that's the street first and foremost you want to target, street and streets. So start thinking about that. Even if you had a listing on a street a month ago or 2 months ago, think about that. They know your name because they drive past your sign. Other than that, I farm areas all over, not close to my home, but you can certainly go on Treb and look at the stats and you can figure out high market turnover areas. I think that's a good idea too, but do what your comfort zone is first and then expand as you see your budget allows it, because it can be costly.
And is it a good idea to door knock around the coming soon sign of my office, one of my office listings?
We call that circle prospecting. I don't see why not. You could, anywhere there's a sold sign on, you could, for sale sign, you could do it. Every street is yours. So, maybe if it's somebody in your office, you might want to just mention it to them as well. Do you mind? There's a lot of us that do have quite a few listings and we simply just can't do it. Right.
One thing I just want to add is when picking target areas, if you don't have a listing coming soon or have a sold or someone in your office is around, going in your neighborhood is a great way as well if you own a home in that neighborhood, because you've got foot in that game. The sale price of that person's house is going to affect the overall value of your home. So it gives you a little bit of an extra, push or reason why someone would want to use you, because you're going to try to get the absolute best price for that home, because it's going to affect the value of yours. Right. So some people will kind of look at that and say, oh yeah, well, that does make sense. Right? Why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she try to get the highest price for my house?
Yeah, but the problem is that I live in a very mature and a very high, I mean, a bigger lot size, older bungalows, you know, where people live for 50 years at least. I live in that kind of neighborhood where they have family realtors working for them and, you know, all that sort of thing. So, yeah, I don't know.
You could do, what about doing a couple streets over, right? Maybe it's not your actual street, but it's the subdivision right beside it.
Yeah, that I can definitely do. And what would you recommend when we door knock? Is there anything which has to be left behind apart from the business card? Because I am also thinking about the budgeting of like flyers and all those things. So what would you suggest to
You have to have something. You have to have something. I never door knock empty-handed. This is my personal opinion. I'm not a pro by any means at this, but I feel like they need to have something more than a card. So I've always been, since it got started, a big believer in Vistaprint. I really like the door hangers that they have now, plus the postcards that you can leave. I like that. It's a little, you know, it's not going to blow away in the wind. At your brokerage, they might have an internal design center that you could, you know, reach out to and print stuff. But I do think it's good to have something significant to leave behind.
And do you recommend like stats or thinking of selling, or what should be the like?
You could put neighborhood stats on there for sure. Yeah, you could have something, you know, with your info on the front, and then you flip it over and it's a neighborhood stat. You know, here's the thing, if you're going to do farming, you have to start thinking about every item that you're going to leave bi-weekly or monthly, however you want to do it. So you've got lots of great ideas already, and just start putting them on paper. And then, you know, the next time you go out, maybe it's going to be stats. The time after, maybe it's going to be a quick market update on what's happening, you know, in the real estate market in general. And maybe the next time it's just going to be about you, right?
Yeah.
Try not to overthink it, because I think you're overthinking it a little bit. Just get your body out there and just introduce yourself to people, and you're all good.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Tara. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's like door knocking in hindsight is getting over that fear is similar to calling people, right? Except for now you're face to face. The good thing with door knocking though is someone's not going to slam the door in your face like they're going to hang up on you. At least most people have a courtesy of not doing that. So they're not as rude to you as they would be on the
door
phone.
Slammed, you know, it's all whatever, you know, like you listen, this is a business that we have to develop a very tough skin. If you're, in my opinion, if you're going to be a realtor, you gotta learn to brush off the people that just aren't nice, right? And move on to something better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. You're good.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Go. Now Sabrina's asking for leads so what would you do in these scenarios? Because I know you like to introduce your voice at some point. But what if the leads aren't even opening the emails or looking at any listings? If you're reaching out to them, what would that conversation look like for you? If they weren't coming up, because I know you watch and you're looking at activity. If they weren't popping up with activity, what would that look like for you? Like, do you just leave them, or do you reach out to them to prompt them? Okay.
You know, again, I don't do a lot of phone calls. There's reasons why I do phone calls, and somebody not opening their listings or the emails is not a phone call that I personally would make. It's not under the scenario I would. However, what I have done, because remember, if they haven't opened for 30 days, they're now bounced by Google and Agent Locator to only get listings once a week. And then that might change again to maybe every other week. So what I like to do if they haven't opened is I'll go into their search criteria and I'll widen it up some more, right? So I'll make it a larger search, larger price range. I don't do types of homes or anything like that, so that when they're actually emailed, they might get emailed more homes, which now sometimes can prompt them to open it finally. Right? And then when they open it, I get the re-notification that the leads come on after 30 days. So my experience has been the key to get them to start opening is to widen that search even more. Right? Because sometimes if that search is too narrow, and now I'm giving everybody a secret of mine, when the search is too narrow, they're not getting sent a lot of homes. So reactivating them for me is not about a phone call. It's about, all right, let's play around with this search some more. And I have sold homes to people that have come back on because I've done that. So it's kind of thinking outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you suggest something in a scenario like that? And again, everyone is different, right? We all have our strengths and things that work well for us. Do you text it all through your system? Like,
yes.
would you send and say, hey, you know what, I noticed there was quite a limitation on the listings I was sending you. I just a heads up, I've expanded your search so you'll start receiving more properties.
Okay, I don't do that. I don't tell them I've expanded the search. I don't do any of that, but I do text. And again, super simple text, because this is super simple, Tara. You know, hey, Bob, just thanks, just checking in with you. Have you seen anything of interest? And then a lot of them reply back and they'll say, not yet, Tara, but you know, and then they might add a little bit more. So my big thing is just a quick, simple, hey, and I love using, have you seen anything of interest? If I don't use that on my text, I use, do you want me to revise your search at all? I don't tell them what they're set up for. I don't tell them any of that. My texts are very simple. And I get a lot of response that way too. So, you know, but you could call. That's not to say you shouldn't call those people, but I'm able to do it without calling.
Well, and it could be that they're not looking at those messages as well, because again, some email providers take it upon themselves to decide this is a promotion, this is going into the whatever folder. And so we're not necessarily seeing those messages all the time. Unfortunately, like, we can't control the back end. We do have our you know, tricks in the back end of Agent Locator to try to encourage those emails going into the inbox. But again, if people are receiving things and not opening them, then that's out of our control. As well as keep in mind that a lot of us have multiple email addresses, right? So I have my one where I know I'm just going to keep getting stuff to it. And that's the email address I use on stuff if I don't want it affecting my regular email, right? It's kind of like my spam. You use this one if you're going to spam me with stuff. So I don't check it as often, right? It's just, I wanted to sign up. Here's my email to sign up for stuff. And so some people don't even recognize that they're getting those emails because they're not checking that email.
It's true. It's very true. And I mean, point taken, you know, if you keep that point in mind, then sometimes a call or a text is better, right? You know, so try it and see. I'm all about, you know, always keep changing what you're doing. Just because I've used this system, not the identical system, but very similar systems since realtor.ca first got introduced. I'm telling you guys, every 3 or 4 months, I'm always tweaking. I'm always pulling an email or changing it. I'm making my drip a little shorter. Sometimes I'll make it a little longer, because every day is different for each person. And I want to always be using the exact way that people are going to respond more. So I think in lead conversion, you always have to be going, if this isn't working, maybe for the next 30 days, I'm going to do this and just see. And that's how you find your sweet spot with converting leads.
Good point. Now, Raman here has a question with respect to ISAs. I did respond through text. He's just wondering if there's any services out there that you know of or would recommend for those ISA services. Conversion Monster is one of the only ones that we recommend here, because there's many out there that aren't as great as they make themselves sound. But so far, we've had positive feedback from multiple clients with Conversion Monster. Is there anything else out there that you're aware of that you know people have used, Tara?
No,
because we know you don't
I
call.
mean,
You're not
yeah,
focused on that. So yeah.
I do have, like, right now when it comes to leads, full disclosure, I'm getting seller leads now. I've started them again with Agent Locator just to see, with my seller drip that I created, is this something that I can also be a high converter with? I am using another company for seller leads, which does have an ISA behind it. I'm just trying them out at this point, not so great is what I'm going to tell you.
It's hard. It's hard to find good ISAs that actually.
We'll see. And I want everybody as well on Treb, on our Stratus. We were actually all given a warning last week about some ISA companies and some pay-per-click companies which were taking people's money and not delivering. So I'm super, super, super really cautious about what you throw your money into, which is why, you gotta really impress me before I'm going to give my hard-earned money, not to my children, but to a company. And that's where I draw the line. So I'm really hardcore. And to be brutally honest, I'm hardcore on this company that I've agreed just to try them out. And they hear from me every week going, still don't have one, still waiting, because this is my money.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to spend this kind of money, I'm going to give it to Andrew and Austin before I'm going to waste it on somebody that can promise me the world and not deliver.
And there's a lot of people out there, or companies.
Right. So I think going forward, I really feel if you're going to throw your money into something, really do it under a tried and trusted. I think that Agent Locator, I know you're still with your ISA. It's still kind of coming into fruition and so forth, but really watch where you do it. And honestly, nobody can speak better than you.
Yeah.
Let's call a spade, right? So be careful.
It is. I've heard horror stories. So lots of different horror stories. I had one client that got it with a company that did ISA, did all this stuff, but had no real estate experience. So that just totally flopped. I've had one where it was, they called and got listing appointments. Meanwhile, he'd go to their house and they had no interest in selling. The guy just said they'd be happy to come and give a price, whatever, right? So he's, spent thousands of dollars, and never got he got some appointments, but no one actually had any intentions on moving ever. So there's a lot of gimmicky, things out there. You can also hire your own ISA, hire somebody that they're hard to come across. I'll tell you that much. But if you're looking to kind of get into that admin position, where you need to have more, but
I do. I think that's a great way to do it. Listen, these ISA companies, they can't discuss real estate with them. So, get yourself a good administrator or, somebody that you can bring on once you kind of expand in real estate. Even having a licensed assistant allows that person to kind of act as an ISA for you, right? I think there's lots of people within the real estate community that could really be a bonus to help a realtor reach everybody without breaking our RICO rules.
Absolutely. Let's just see. Paviola is saying, so how do you respond to a lead, or what would you do in, a situation where you've had a call with them, they keep looking at emails, but when you've called, they've expressed they have an agent. Would you still continue to reach out every now and then, or what would you do?
Yes. So, I don't like stepping on people's toes. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. You signed up on my site. You have an agent. Okay, I get it. So I just basically keep sending them listings. And I always say to them, if anything happens with the agent that you're currently working with, just know that I'm here, right? Remember what I said the last few times is you've already paid for the lead. So I don't give up. Now, if the lead does reply back and say, I bought a house last week. Thank you, Tara. Of course, I mean, clearly I'm going to delete or archive and we're good. But until that time, I've already bought that lead. So, I'm going to keep sending them listings and let them know that if anything changes, I'll be here.
Do you do touch points? So one thing that I've suggested to individuals is if they tag their lead, and every 30 days, if they're active and you haven't talked to them, right, is to just do a simple check-in. Could be a voicemail.
Sure.
Hey, Tara, it's Crystal. Just want to make sure the listings are still up to par. Let me know if there's any changes I can make. That's soft because, again, you're not selling them. You're focusing on customer service, making sure their search, what they're getting is what they're looking for. You may be actually checking in and making sure everything's okay with everything more than their so-called agent that they may or may not has even bothered to be doing, right? So you still have opportunity with some of these people to earn that business.
Yep, absolutely. Even if they say they have an agent, they're still on my drip, right? I'm just there. That's my go-to line. I'll be here when the time is right for you. And if they have an agent, if anything changes, I'll be here. Right? Plain and simple. So, again, I delete or archive if they say they've bought a house, for sure.
And then we do have a question just with respect to healthy budget for PPC. It's all different, to be honest with you, because it's really, you only want to bite off as much as you can chew and handle, really, at the end of the day. The average, what we're seeing is around $300-400 an agent. Per agent, I would never, if you're a solo agent, it's really hard, anything above $1,000 a month to really effectively manage and not have a ton of people slipping through the cracks, because you can only do so much. So it's really, and it is a numbers game, right? So you're looking at a 1 to 2% conversion rate. So if you're looking at every 100 leads, that's a conversion. It's really kind of what your ultimate end goal is and how you're working those leads in order to get them to transact at some point, right? Knowing that it's a majority of them are not going to be anytime soon.
I have toggled with medium budgets. The good thing about Agent Locator is, you can add to your budget and you can take away. So, clearly, I can't stress enough, the more leads that you are bringing in, the greater and higher rate of conversion you'll have. It is not only is it based on a good solid drip campaign and follow up in a very good non-salesman-like way, but it is also about the number of leads that you get in. So, if you've sold a few houses, you've got a little bit of a bigger budget at the time, maybe that's a time that you want to beef it up a little bit. Also, I will tell you, for the longest time, when I went with Agent Locator in 2016, this is me. I'm all about pay per click, but I'm not about the landing page and stuff like that. Just bring me the leads, I'll convert them. But, I didn't even realize that my leads were strictly from my Tara Lee real estate site. It wasn't an unbranded site. So I always got a great number of leads, thankfully, luckily. I always had a great number of leads. So if you want really good leads and a good volume of leads, when I switched last year also to an unbranded landing page, I mean, the flow, the floodgates opened. So, you might want to look at that. Do you have an unbranded page? And if you don't, maybe you might want to talk to Agent Locator a little bit about that, because it did increase the volume significantly for me when the Google searches were down. And I think that's a really good place to start.
And unbranded is your automated lead gen sites, guys. It's all about the listings, ultimately, at the end of the day. And then having an unbranded domain. So an unbranded domain essentially doesn't include your name in it, right? It's all about the real estate. It's not about the agent in any way, shape, or form.
No.
So yeah, so like
fantastic.
findahouse.com, like that's unbranded, right? But you can take an unbranded thing and actually turn it into a brand too, right? So that the brand just isn't your name. So there's a lot of different ways that you can think about it and kind of plan and create even a brand for yourself, being like, Tara Baylis is neighborhood realty, right? Or neighborhoodhomes.com, right? Or whatever it is.
That's a great idea.
That you're doing, right? So it's
that.
That's the way I kind of, because a lot of them, like, a lot of people have their names, right? Like crystaldebris.com, adotopaz.com, right? So we all tend to use very similar in real estate. So you could always, try to switch it up and create a brand for yourself, something that it might be catchy and people remember it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's good. We got lots of questions.
I know. I'm just kind of going through because I feel like I've missed some.
Okay.
And so Jazz is asking, this is on previous, just after how long, what's your process before you call somebody?
Well, I mean, listen, I feel like I'm all failing you a lot. I have certain scenarios that I make calls. Now, years ago, this was not what I did. The lead would come on my phone from Agent Locator, from whatever the lead company was I was using at the time. As soon as I would get the message that a lead was there, I would call them and say, hey, it's Tara from so-and-so. I just wanted to thank you for coming on, let me know what you're looking for. And it worked. So now I don't do that because people weren't responding over the last 6-7 years the same way as they used to when I made those calls. I have scenarios. So if I happen to notice in my re-login notifications that Bob is coming on a little bit more than he used to, maybe Bob used to come on once a week. Now all of a sudden he's coming on 5 or 6 times a day. Now I'm seeing something's changed in Bob. There's a desire, there's a motivation to move. Now I'm going to introduce my voice to Bob and I'm going to say exactly what I said before. Hi, it's Tara calling from Begin to Search. I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on my site. I really appreciate it. That's all I say. And right away, when I do make those calls based on that scenario, their guard is down and they all pretty much say the same thing. They'll say, oh, okay, no problem. I like your site. It's easy to use. Then I'll say, again, I just wanted to thank you. If there's any changes you need me to make to your search, please let me know anytime. This is my cell phone. Now, one of two things happen. They say, oh, great, thanks for calling. Like they really appreciate that call. Or they now stay on the phone with me and tell me everything about them. They tell me about their husbands. They tell me about their kids. They tell, the whole gamut. And that's how I do it. So that's a scenario. Another scenario is the get in touch forms, the ask a question forms that we get through our re-login notifications with Agent Locator, the book of showings. Those are all ways and scenarios that I'll make a call and just say, hey, listen, it's Tara from Begin to Search. I just got your notification that you were wondering about this property. What can I tell you? Mm-hmm. Right? Those are the calls that I make. Now, that's not to say, please don't get me wrong, that you guys shouldn't call when a lead first comes in. I want everybody to do what they feel is best. What I'm telling you is if you're doing it and you're not getting people wanting to talk to you, take a step back and figure out a different scenario to make a call. Does that sound sensible?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Now another question just with respect to agency agreements. Mitzi was asking, do you show properties without getting that agreement signed? She's found that sometimes buyers will have you show them homes and go sign with another agent.
Yeah.
So I know initially the first time you're taking them out, it's almost like an interview. It's like a working interview. This is where we're getting, I'm not going to make them sign anything because, well, for all you don't want to work with them either, right? Yeah. But yeah. It works both ways. Now, after that, do you always, so say, after that first, showing the group of homes, how do you introduce the BRAs to get them to sign those?
You know, a big thing with the BRAs, and I don't like really giving advice on this because everybody works differently, and there are scenarios in these days that we're living in where some realtors will send their buyers to a listing agent to show them the property because they don't want to do the drive or they don't want to make the trip. And I'm starting to see a need presently for maybe a BRA to be signed when you do take them in the home. For me and my real estate career, I've always done it this way. First of all, I want to meet the lead no matter what, because I've only talked to them over, you know, text or phone or internet. So I want to show them a property and I want them to get to know Tara. But going forward, typically once we were at the point of offer, I would now say, I've now got to have the BRA signed. There have been times in the last year where I've kind of went, you know what, you're just using so-and-so, because don't forget, I'm the manager here and I'm seeing and hearing a lot of stories outside of my particular career with real estate. And I really think you got to go with your gut with people right now. I really, really do. And if it works for you to get this signed after maybe you've met them and you feel like you want to work with these people, then get it signed. You know, we put a lot of effort in to have somebody not respect our time. And that's really where I'm starting to dig in and go, hey, it might be time for Tara to change the way she works a little bit as well. So talk to your managers, talk to your team leaders, talk to your broker of records, what they recommend, and do what's best for your business, please. But by no means should we be out showing homes to people whose agents do not want to do the work to show them the property. So if you need to get that signed, get it signed, please. Does that help?
I think it does. Sorry, I've got a zoo going on behind me over here. So it's, anyway, you know,
Yeah.
trying to do the whole mom like pointing.
Yeah, I saw a little head floated.
One thing you can ask as well with you know, and I've suggested to people is also asking when someone who wants to go view a house. Awesome. Have you guys gone to see any houses yet, or is this going to be your first time out viewing?
Sure.
Right. And they may be honest with you. They may
For
not
sure.
be honest with you. Right. But it's a second attempt to see, oh no, we've gone to look at houses. And then you're going to kind of probably dig a little bit deeper into that scenario. Let me just see here. So Vivian is sharing a story. I showed this guy 6 to 7 homes, and he decided to put on an offer. He mentioned he would like to get 50% of my commission if he signs the BRA. And
you know what? Do I got to watch what I say? Yes, I suppose I do. This upsets me. I had somebody, gosh, was it this year or the end of last year? I don't know if they were a lead or if it was a sign call that I got that wanted part of my commission. Yeah, you know what? It's ridiculous. I don't know the realtors out there that seem to be giving away part of their commission in order to get business. But yeah, let's see what they wrote. I quit. Yes, you should keep your commission, not give it to a buyer.
yeah.
Let them move on and let them use somebody that's going to actually do that.
Well, they're just undervaluing your services that you're offering, right? It's really
so hard.
Yeah.
We work 7 days a week. On Christmas Day, one of my clients sent me an email wanting me to give them information on a property. Every day of the week, and by no means thank you or ask for half our salary. Yeah, no means. You deserve every penny that you get. And for those people that are going to ask you for half your commission, please, if you're able, drop them. And shame on the agents that are doing this, because it is not cool. That's my opinion. Yeah,
no, it's like, you know, going to a dentist, just being like, hey, well, if I use you as my dentist, are you going to give me half your daily salary, like whatever you earn today, right?
Oh, by the way, you know, is it okay if I only pay $100? You know,
Yeah,
I
no,
can't.
it doesn't, people don't understand the work. And then you guys go and drive and you spend money and you do this and that and whatever, and you're doing all of this without a paycheck, right? There, like,
Especially
you don't
now
even
with
know
that.
if there's a paycheck coming. It's the money goes out with the
Yeah.
unknown of what's going to come in, right? So,
Yeah.
and sadly enough, there's a lot of individuals out there, that don't truly understand how industry or really business ownership works, right?
Yeah.
It's not, they just see this big amount, you're getting all that money, but that's not the case, right? So
Yeah,
there's,
very
you
true.
win some, you can
Thank
lose
you for
some.
sharing that. I appreciate that, because
Yeah.
believe me, I mean, nobody understands but realtors the amount of work that we really do. And I have become a huge advocate of what our rights are and how hard we work, and we deserve respect. So, there are clients that I do think if you don't have a gut feeling about them, you don't have to work with them.
No.
If you reject one, there's going to be 20 more. That's the beauty about pay-per-click leads. They're always coming in. There's always another lead, which is more business, right? Yeah.
If you show that you respect your own boundaries and you set limits and limitations, people will actually respect you more, rather than you always dropping everything and every moment running around for them. If you set boundaries, people will start to respect those boundaries.
I will make a point about, I think this is an amazing thing, and I know that we're over time, and I apologize. But one of the things, and after all of these years, and anybody that's on here, and I'm viewing the list, some of you actually have worked a very long time in real estate with me. You know how much I put into my real estate business. My why. It's for my boys, plain and simple. I learned about a year ago when I was at the point where I needed to start thinking about creating a team, because I just couldn't handle all the business on my own anymore. And here I am with realtors that were calling me at 11 o'clock at night, asking me about one of my listings. And I want to be a nice realtor. Everybody knows, like, I have a heart
people pleaser, right? I got to do it to make everyone happy.
But now I'm like, really? Like, who does that? Who does that? And it was repeatedly more and more calls last year, calling me 10 o'clock at night, 11. We're not in the middle of an offer. You can text me, you can email me, or how about this? You can call me after 9 o'clock in the morning. And then I said, okay, that's it. And I put a message on my phone that just, you all can call it. If you call it at 8:04, you're going to get this message PM. Thanks for giving me a call. It's Tara from Tara Lee Real Estate and our neighborhood realty. If you've called after 8 PM, just know, thank you for calling, and I will call you back after 9 AM tomorrow morning. That's what my message is. Now, the realtors that have called me after 8 PM, and again, this is not if I'm doing an offer. If I'm doing an offer, clearly I'm answering my phone. I have had so many realtors say to me, oh my God, Tara, I wish I could do that. Your message is awesome. And this is what I say, do it now. My biggest mistake, maybe my only mistake in real estate in my career, was not setting the boundary right from the get-go. This is my dinner time. Now I'm at the soccer field with my son. I was available all the time. And I would say to my kids, I just got to answer this. It's just a client. I'll be right back. And that's not the way that I think with the way we're accessible with our smartphones. So please set your boundaries and people will respect it. They will. Go figure. Yeah. And it took me until last year, Crystal. Last year.
Yeah, it's hard though, because there's a bit of fear, I think, for a lot of individuals. If I don't get to this, I might have missed that opportunity, right? Sure. So they're constantly doing things, but again, you got to set those limitations, because you got to have balance, or you're just going to run yourself dry. Steam is going to disappear.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, that's just for people calling me. Listen, if you text me at 8:15.
Yeah.
I'm going to reply back.
Yeah.
But I don't need any realtor calling me and asking me a question about one of my listings at 11 o'clock at night.
No.
Plain and
No,
simple. And
there's
I
no
would
need for it.
not do that to them.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
where the boundary is.
yeah. It's even, send it by email if you really want to know. I wouldn't dare unless there was an offer.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're welcome, Mitzi. Yes, very nice. I shut my phone off at 9. Yes. Perfect.
I wouldn't be calling anyone at 11. Yeah. Got to do what you can do.
Honestly.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tara, again, for another great webinar. We kind of went on why, and then we kind of get into all these other questions. So everyone that was watching, go down and write down why. Why are you in this business? What's your ultimate goal? Why did you get into it? And it will help you and encourage you most definitely when you are, working these leads, or even how you're talking to them, right? And they're going back to why I did this in the first place.
Yeah.
It might adjust there, change your tone, and you might be more relaxed.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Don't forget your why. And it all starts here, your mindset. Yeah. That's what gets me through every single day, every day. Thank you so much, guys.
No problem.
Thanks.
You all will see you in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
My new house, in my new house.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully you'll be on that. Yeah. Good luck on that. Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye, guys.